Okay, so for this video, we're going to look at compound interest or appreciation and depreciation. They all follow the same strategy, which is why we're doing it all in one video. So for this first one, we have Joseph invests £4,500 in a bank that pays 6.4% interest per annum. If Joseph does not touch the money in the bank, how much interest will he have gained after 3 years? Give your answer to the nearest penny. So it's going up in 6.4% each year. So we start at 100% and we add, which is the bit that you have to decide whether you add or subtract. Because it's going up, we do 6.4%. Add it on to 106.4%. So as a multiplier, as a decimal multiplier, we're going to have that as 1.064. To get from there to there, we've divided by 100. Once we've got our multiplier, we take our original amount, 4,500, multiply it by our multiplier, 1.064. And the one other thing you have to take into consideration is how many years is this happening for. So here it's been 3 years. So we do it to the power of 3. Now sometimes in questions it might be asking you, what's it after 3 weeks or 3 hours? And as long as it's going up in that percentage per week, per hour, and then you're being asked for the same thing, you can use this process. So it's not only just for years. In this case it is years. So we're going to put that into the calculator, 4,500 times 1.064 to the power of 3, or cubed. So we have 5420.475 ... It's money, so we would normally want to round it at least to the nearest penny. This actually tells us specifically to do that. So you just have to watch what it's asked you to round it to. So here we're going to round this to £5,428.48. Okay, so moving on, we're going to look at depreciation. So exactly the same process, apart from instead of adding it on, we're going to take it off. Jane bought a painting in an auction for £32,250. Unfortunately, the painting depreciated in value by 7% each year. Calculate how much the painting was worth after 2 years. Give your answer to 3 significant figures. Exactly the same process, we start at 100%. We decide whether we're going to add or subtract the percentage here. This depreciated in value, so it's gone down in value, so we're going to subtract that 7% this time. 93%, which divide that by 100 is 0.93, and we have our decimal multiplier. Take the original amount, 32,250, multiply it by 0.93, and we want to know how much it was worth after 2 years, so we put it to the power of 2, or square it. Don't we use our calculators now? 32,250 times 0.93 squared equals, we've got 27,893.025. Normally we'd round that up to the nearest penny, but here we're specifically asked to give the answer to 3 significant figures. So your first significant figure starts from the left as long as it's not a 0. So you find the first one that's not 0. 2 is not a 0, so we 1, 2, 3 significant figures. So we just need to decide whether to round that 8 up or down. So we've got 2 and 7 stay the same. The 8, because the next number is a 9, we round up to a 9. And then anything that is before this decimal point, we have to replace with a 0 here. So 0, 0, because we have to keep it close to what it was. 27,893 is still quite close to 27,900. You couldn't just put the 3 significant figures, £279. We wouldn't be very close then. So make sure you put in your zeros as long as it's before the decimal place. Anything after you can leave out. And that's your answer. We're going to do one more. This one's a little bit trickier. Or not trickier, it's just got a few more steps to it. So this one says, Bill invested £10,000 in the dodgy building society, but his money lost 5% per annum over the first 2 years. At the end of this, he decided to move his money to the goody building society, which he guaranteed that his money would gain 6% per annum over the next 2 years. How much did Bill gain or lose over the 4 years? So actually we're going to have 2 different multipliers this time. So let's start with our first one. Our first one's going to be starting at 100%, but we're going to be subtracting 5% here because they lost 5% each year. 95% divided by 100 is 0.95. So we have our first multiplier. The second one is going to be 100%, plus 6% because we're gaining 6% per annum. So 106%, which is 1.06. Oops, 1.06. So for the first 2 years, he lost 5%. So we're going to use this one. And then for the next 2 years, he gained 6%. Sorry, you can't see that. Gained 6%. So we're going to use this one. We can actually just do it all in one because we can multiply it all at the same time. So we start with £10,000. And then we multiply by the first multiplier, 0.95. And this happened for 2 years. So we do it to the power of 2, or squared. And then we also multiply by the second one, the 1.06. And this happened for 2 years as well. So we do 2 to the power of 2 squared again. And so this is going to tell us this for 2 years, then this for 2 years. What was it after the whole 4 years? So use your calculator. 10,000 times 0.95 squared times 1.06 squared equals £10,140.49. So we can just put pound sign straight in there. And just going back to the question, it said how much did Bill gain or lose over the 4 years? So he started with £10,000. So actually, £10,140.49 minus his original £10,000. Oops, I've added an extra zero. £10,000. He's actually gained £140.49 gain. So he did end up being better off even though he lost the 5% for the first 2 years. And that's you ready to look at some compound interest, appreciation and depreciation questions.